Welcome to the Golden State Media Concepts Sex Podcast, a show that examines all aspects of sexuality, from physical to emotional to spiritual. Join our hosts as they discuss age-old questions, common misconceptions, and the latest topics surrounding sex. They'll tackle topics about sexuality from the complicated to the hilarious and everything in between. GSMC Sex Podcast is your show for all of your questions about sex, even some you might not have thought of yet.
Welcome back to the GSMC Sex Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network, with your host, Andra, with a topic about sex. It's from the point of view of an older woman. Now, as promised in the last segment, this topic is the shall I say, the fail-proof way to tell if a guy really likes you. And we always need this reassurance. I don't care what anybody says. And this is as all sexes. And it's not just for the guy. It's the woman, the guy, the everything, and everything that we do in our lives. But when we are talking about relationships, it's always nice to know and be, confirmed and assured that we are on the same page with our partner. Or our partner to be. So we, like women, as stated in the earlier segment, that we have a tendency to purposely convince ourselves that deciphering a man's true interest in us is some challenging mystery. No, it isn't. It is not. Remember, we hold the goods, ladies. We hold the goods, or whatever that partner is, they hold the goods. So we need clarity and knowing that if a guy cares for us or wants a life with us, it's a clarification to us. You need to not listen to his words, because guys will sell you that bridge in the swamp. We need to pay attention to his actions. What is he actually doing? Because remember, ladies, we're wired differently. Men wired for sex, women wired to be more into the desire and the attraction and how he's viewing us. And then that will turn on us sexually. So we have a tendency to look at things a little different. They're shopping for cars. Don't take it personally. That's a good thing. They see what they want, they buy. We see what we want. We kind of sort of hold back and, kind of sort of leave open the door in our minds as, is there something better? And we shop around little, or we guard ourselves. So, and it might just be that guy who's there that we shouldn't have shopped around, because we'll lose it if we take too long. But if he's really interested in you, he will stay for the duration and be there. So you need to really look at his action as opposed to what he says to you. It's very difficult because we are actually thinking, they said this. Oh my God, they said this. Instead of turning around and saying, oh, but they did this. That was really sweet. Oh, that's, no one's ever done that for me before. So you got to really think about it and take a step back. There is a truth. It takes courage to resist making his words mean what you want them to mean. And this is in contrast to seeing what his actions are clearly telling you. So take the time, step back, look at it as a whole when we're going in. If you have uneasy feelings, listen to those. And I'm sure everybody has heard, listen to your instinct, listen to your gut. If you have an odd feeling in your gut about someone and it's still there as time is going on, 10 to 1, it's not him you want, because you will know. That's like, I equate that with going into a store, a clothes store, because us women, we love our clothes and shoes. Going into a clothes store or shoe store, one or the other, and seeing a pair of shoes that I'm attracted to, and really looking at these, trying them on, really like them, but looking at them and saying, yeah, but I don't know, it's just something about them. I like to generally take that as, I like them, I'm not in love with them, and I generally do not buy. I found that, at other times I would just jump in, but now that I've gotten older and a little bit more wiser in my thought process, I am really just, I'm looking and I'm surveying the area of the man. I am, taking the time to look at them. Those shoes, let's go back to the shoes. Pair of stilettos, sucker for stilettos. Women, we love our shoes. And that's our one way. The red shoes, they have a mind, they're so controlling. They're a sex. They allure sex. So when we go into a shoe store to try on some shoes, red shoes, whatever color shoes, we're looking at the toe cleavage and how much is being seen, because that's sexy. We are seeing how we can work those heels in different ways. So take that thought process, and it's easier to do it to an inanimate, a tangible object that doesn't talk or doesn't do anything, because you can basically put it wear them the way you want them and with you what you want them. When it comes to a man or a partner, now you have to fraction in that opinion and everything else that comes with it, because there's feelings, opinions, and everything else that come with it. And if you're with this person, you're looking at him, you're saying, I really find him attractive. I really like being around him, but there's something that's not being said. So you step back, because 10 to 1, it will come out, and listening to your gut has actually worked. It's what it is. It's us, human nature. And this is how we are. But women, if we start liking ourselves and know who we are, what we want and don't want in a partner, it becomes easier. Respect what your body has to say to you. There are signs that he's truly not into you. Like, he texts you late at night and wants to meet up. You seem really good for that a booty call, but he don't take you out in the daytime. You only have short conversations, or your texts that you have are just basically what you're going to do or where you're going to meet up. They're very brief. There's no thought process in it. You're not carrying on a two-way conversation. You spend most of your times, basically either seeing them in the streets or at the clubs. You never see them beyond those. He disappears for long lengths of time, and you have no idea. And then all of a sudden he shows back up. If you are not, even though you're getting along and you're having a great time, he's really looking to keep his options open. He's not looking for that extra commitment. And he won't introduce you to his friends. He won't bring you around his family. These are little hints. And actually, these are the big hints. And he doesn't introduce you to his friends, but yet it's good enough for him to come by your house and get a booty call. But now you need to look at the fact that you actually let this individual in. So you wanted it as well. You're in it for the wrong reason. So end the booty call. Know when to back off. He is the priority in the situation. And you are just a second thought to him. If there's something wrong, you're the blame. It's all about you. So remember, when we are looking for people or a partner, we need to look at it, ladies, as a pair of shoes. They're going in, they're just buying. Men are different than us, wired differently. Women, those shoes we go into the store for, we like them, but we're not in love with them. Don't start the relationship. So let's take a break here. Come to the end of this portion of our session. I hope you still have snacks and drinks, because when we come back, we're going to continue our conversation in the relationship and how to act when you're crushing hard. And these are all based on our zodiac signs. And a lot of people like astronomy or like zodiac signs. And nowadays people are looking at that. Have you ever had that individual comes up to you and first thing they ask you is, what's your sign?
Still on the search of that one true love? On the limbo in this crazy world of dating, marriage, relationships? Well, listen to the Golden State Media Concepts Relationship Podcast, your one-stop podcast for everything about relationships.
Welcome to the GSMC Sex Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network, with your host, Andra, with a topic about sex is from the point of view of an older woman. Today's topic, does he like me? Ladies, we have a tendency to ask ourselves this. Does he like me? I think we really should be asking ourselves, do you like yourself? When a man goes in, we're like purchasing a car for a man. He's not there to shop. He knows what he wants. He's there to buy. So if he's investing the time to call you, talk to you, ask you out, sitting across the table from you, generally means he likes you. But you might not be sure that you like him. As if you're asking these questions, you don't really know if you like him. You don't know if this is what you want. But most of all, you have to like yourself, because nobody, man nor woman, does not like anybody who does not like themselves. And if that is the case, they are insecure about themselves as well, which is not a healthy relationship at all. We have a tendency, the saying is true, ladies. We have a tendency to forget that we're in control. We own what the man wants. So we are in control. With that, you should be able to now ask yourself, okay, well, if I'm in control, do I like myself? So that does he like me goes right out the window. Now you should ask yourself, well, if I do like myself and I'm confident with myself, do I really like him? If we're questioning all these other questions come up. So you need to start asking yourself, what traits do I like in men? What do I want and need from a relationship with a man? Besides the pleasurable things, what traits must he have? What traits are deal breakers? And we have a tendency to sit and make those up as we go along because we are afraid. And that's not good, because if he really likes you and you really like him, well, you're holding yourself back from something that could actually be beneficial and really nice for the both of you. I mean, we know what we want, what's important to us, what we're passionate about. And we always have a tendency to look at negatives first before we even look at positives. And that's as a human race as a whole. That is one of our non-elusive, shall I say, traits that we have. We have a tendency to find it much more easier to point out the negatives as opposed to pointing out the positives, which is what we should be doing. But there are those incidents where all of it is going to circle back to a negative. So when you come to that point, it's definitely don't go into it. You know what turns you on and turns you off. So there should be no question with that. We have a tendency at times as women as to not think about that, what is more important to us or what gets us going. We're more of the let's take care of our partner. But nowadays, I mean, it's much more prevalent in older days as opposed to now. More women are very, very independent, and we have a tendency at times to intimidate the opposite sex, which we don't want to. We are just trying to be who we are and making a living for us and making a space for us out there and in our own lives without losing who we are. Because when you're individuals in a relationship and you are very confident about yourselves, that's a very good relationship. The whole idea of it is to find how each one of you in that relationship, being individualized, works together. So you got to really think about these things. And that's really, really important. And becomes a time where, you will meet a man and he becomes that good friend. You're so comfortable around that person. You treat him like your brother. You can talk about anything with him. He's seen you, ladies, without your makeup on, where no one else would. But yet, we have to say to ourselves, we're just not attracted to him. That has a tendency, that situation, that scenario has a tendency to keep moving on. And one or the other of the individuals in that friendship relationship wants to go a little bit further. Could be they want to be the boyfriend or you want to be the girlfriend. Either one of you want to go a little bit further. And then the question comes up, why? Why does he want to do that? He's like my friend. I'm so comfortable with him. But the whole thing is, he has fallen in love with who you are, not what you're trying to portray. And you got to turn around and look at it that way and realize he fell in love with you because you knew who you were. You didn't have to put up blinders or do something out of the ordinary to get his attention. You were confident with him and comfortable saying, bring out that authentic you at all times during this. And it never changed that. So that comfortability, being comfortable in that relationship has opened up his eyes to see you, that you are that beautiful person, probably the person that you don't see because you're so busy just being you. And we have a tendency not to look at ourselves that way sometimes, women. And we are more apt to do it than a man because remember, our minds, our sexual allures, desires come from different places. Men, it's a constant thought. Women, we have a tendency to shield ourselves until we know it's a-okay to let down that shield. So really digging deep in loving yourself first, you can answer a lot of questions and become more in tune with who you are and be able to go into that relationship. We have all kinds of relationships in our lives, but the one that we don't look at and don't put on that list is ourselves, the relationship that we have with ourselves and how we use it to catch a partner. We need to start looking at ourselves. This way we won't ever have to ask that question, does he like me? Start asking yourself, am I doing a good job? Or more positively, I'm doing a good job. I'm doing my best. I deserve relaxing time. I deserve time with my friends. I deserve asking for help from people who will gratefully give it to me. I have do-overs for things I know how to do better. And that's how we're improving ourselves. That's how we're learning to love and respect ourselves. And this generates love and respect from the outside world and the people in it. So we really need to stop asking, does he like me? Because that will never get us that relationship we seek. Start asking yourself, how do I like me? And there's where you start. So let's take a break here. And when we come back, we will start on the fail-proof way to tell if a guy really likes you. So go get a drink and a snack and come back.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Welcome back again to the GSMC Sex Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network, with your host, Andra, where the topic about sex is from the point of view of an older woman. As promised, our topic, we're going to end it out with how to really act when you're crushing hard based on your zodiac sign. Nowadays, our signs have been such a big thing, and there are more and more people out there who will ask you what your sign is and then compare it. And if, I'm assured everybody has gone through this. Someone comes up to you and you're getting along really, really good, and they ask you, what's your sign? And then all of a sudden, because your sign is something that meshes with their sign, that's why we get along great together. That's the way you are. It's got a little bit more than that, but yes, our signs do tell us different things about ourselves. And it's fun to do the research and to know those little quirks here and there. You know, when we have crushes, they can be so embarrassing, awful. You know, you're crushing on someone, every time you get around that person, you don't know how to act. You know, it's just like you're going to school for the first day and you have no idea what is going to happen. You're scared, you're anxious, don't want to leave your mother's side or your father's side or both of them together. They dropped you off together. But then all of a sudden you get in there and you make friends. And now you're comfortable and you want to go to school because that's where your peeps are. So it's kind of hard. And then there's that little girl across the room or that little boy across the room that grabs your attention. And we start really young. And when we're young, we have no bars on our feelings and we have no filters on our mouths. So we will just act on it because our body's a bit like that tiny, and everybody knows that. I'm sure that everybody here can probably talk about their first crush in school, or at least have been told by their parents who saw this. So maybe it had a lot to do then about our signs. Now, even with that crush, sometimes you're crushing on someone because you know that they are the one person who was meant for you or to be part of their lives. You don't really have an idea as to why this is the way it is and how you're feeling that, but you are definitely praying that they feel the same way, because you don't want to feel like a fool, because those crushes can be out there. And when we crush, we get all goofy in front of that person. And we have no control. It's more of a challenge, actually, to keep you cool or to keep, some demure around you or to you when you're around this person. So every word you say, you stumble on. And body language is telling them one thing. And they're getting it. They are getting it. At 10 to 1, they probably went home and said, I really think they have a crush on me. But don't sweat it, because it happens to all of us. Now, let's break that down into zodiac signs. Here's how you should act according to your zodiac sign. For Aries, we will start out with the Ram. You try to convince yourself that, all that excitement that you're feeling is the same as if you were doing something for the first time. And that you basically can handle it, but you're really not. So you're really trying to show that you can handle it. You put your anxiety to the side, so you go in there trying not to show your anxiety for how you feel. And you go in for it. You make that move, that big giant move. So hold all that anxiety in, Aries, and go for it. Your enthusiasm and confidence in Aries are extremely appealing. Okay, so you gotta take it in and take what comes with it. Taurus, when you have a crush on someone, Taurus, you generally don't say anything. You keep it to yourself. No one knows how you're overthinking every word you've said to them or how you regret trying to make that joke that didn't go over as well as you hoped it to. And we've all been there. You think that your crush is going to have some highly developed senses if they're ever going to find out how you feel, because you aren't going to tell them. Most of the time, your relationship with your crush will begin and end in your head. So with Taurus, it's all, that crush is in your head. This is what you do. You don't tell anybody. You don't come out. Gemini. Now, these are twins. You are hot and cold when you're crushing on someone. You try to stay cool and detached from your emotions, but they generally get the best of you. It happens. And after a short period of time, the emotions that you have will come on too strong. And if you can just let them in the conversation, your emotions, they'd know how, smart you are, how funny you are, how just amazing of a person that you are. Unfortunately, you get a little tongue-tied. And when you speak out, it shows, because all your words don't come out the way you want them to. So just, when you're there, your best bet is to do something to calm yourself down so that you can be warm and engaging without becoming cold and aloof. Your crush upsets your equilibrium big time, so it really throws you off. Cancer. We're generally the family sign. We convince ourselves that it's hopeless. It's a hopeless case, and end any chance of relationship with our crush before it even begins. And then we beat ourselves up later on about it. So that's not good behavior for yourself. And then at that time, you generally feel that you've just ruined everything. It's more like with cancers, just because you admire someone or think they're attractive, it doesn't mean they're safe to care about. So you need to basically back in, cancers. Leo, the lion, raw. When you have a crush, you go right into flirting mode. All right. Generally, we are smitten. There's a lot of little touches here and there, which is a sign of like. You generally are comfortable whether you're the person being crushed on or the one doing the crushing. So that's pretty good, Leos. That's really good. Virgos, you find everything you need to know and then you make a plan. Pretty smart. Pretty smart. Which friends do you have in common and how can you call on them to help you out with that crush? So you know that you'll find a solution to solving the crush. You always do. Libra. And we are going strong here. You look at your crushes as if they're just a fun thing that makes your life a little more exciting. So that's pretty cool. You like that feeling that seeing your crush gives you, that little giddiness, the little wiring going a little wacky, lets you feel optimistic and energized. Scorpio, you don't believe in having a crush, which is why when you develop one, or you actually have experienced a crush, you have no idea what to do. When you're in the presence of your crush, you tend to come on really too strong, and you have a tendency to scare them off. Less, in your case, is definitely more. So try and control that excitement when you come to your crushes. Sagittarius, you get many crushes all the time, so this is not uncommon for your sign. Usually you do something usually sweet and thoughtful, which is really cool. And with doing something like that, you get your crush to take a second look at you. But however, you must know that if it takes too long for them to respond to you, then you need to move on to your next mini crush because that's not the crush that's going to work for you. Capricorn, crush with you is all about the possibilities. It could lead to finding that partner, or it could simply be someone that you're going to practice with. Just, a little, oh, okay, this is what happens after you crush on somebody and you're dating them. Sometimes you get it in your head and you feel as though you've embarrassed yourself, but it really actually comes off as charming and kind of endearing. So don't look at it as embarrassing. Aquarius, when you crush, you like yours to be in group dates. I think that's your comfort zone. You like to be in the vicinity of your crush, but you like to have a lot of other people there. Makes it a little bit more easier for you. You don't want to be anyone that you're not. And you would like your crush to see how amazing you are. And it's really, you're looking at it as it's their problem, not yours. So, Pisces. In our last zodiac sign, you generally wish that your crush could just know you like them by osmosis, natural order. You don't want to ever say anything or do anything directly to your crush. However, that's not a bad thing, but it's more like you're like, oh my God, I'm going to die if my crush knows anything. Take a picture. This is really good. You channel those feelings through a piece or an object. So pick something that's good for you, that you want to express your feelings through. And include your crush. Because to you, it's purely artistic reasons, not because you're crushing on them. And you grab their attention. So those are our 12 zodiac signs and how to act with it. With our zodiac signs when we are crushing. Crushing is fun, remember this. We've all had them. Just know how or what you want from it and how far you want to go, regardless of your sign. However, we are truly at the end of our segment. And as usual, practice safe sex. If not for you, for your partner. Bye for now.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Sex Podcast, part of the GSMC Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcasts on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type in GSMC to find all of our shows from the GSMC Podcast Network. From sex and relationships to health and wellness, life and happiness, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's episode of the Golden State Media Concepts Sex Podcast.